This is all the NYSC now. The National Association of Polytechnic Students, NAPS, has requested JAMB's assistance to address issues preventing HND graduates from participating in the NYSC. NAPS President Ridwan Opeyemi, who met with JAMB Registrar Professor Oloyede, expressed concerns about delays in mobilizing HND graduates. Oloyede explained that JAMB does not handle HND admissions and lacks the relevant data. He advised NAPS to consult the National Board for Technical Education for further guidance. There's so much the HND graduates face. Aside JAMB, we've heard so many, besides NYSC rather, we've had so many complaints from the HND. In fact, I saw a post the other day of someone saying certain things about the HND graduate. But let's get your thoughts on this story.
First of all, why the relegation of HND graduates to the background? Why? The educational system created the HND stream, while we also have the BSc stream. And I think sometime along the line of policy making, we reached out a policy that HND graduates are on the same level with BSc graduates. And of course, if JAMB says they do not know about the admission of HND graduates, are we not supposed to be laughing?
Why?
At the country we are in. How can JAMB, the Joint Admission Board, in charge of admissions in the country, be excluded from the admission process for HND? It looks funny, it sounds funny. Because they should take responsibility for all of these things. And as a matter of fact, why should you delay the mobilization of HND graduates? It's just that when you talk about education, it's a very huge cry, because originally HND graduates should be experiential graduates. Originally, they should be graduates who have gone through technical knowledge. But even as it stands now, at the end of the day, HND is even becoming worse than BSc.
In what aspect?
Because at the end of the day, BSc used to even be seen as theoretical and HND as practical. There is not practical in HND anymore. It's funny, I'm telling you, fact. I have some students who graduated from, I don't want to call the name of any polytechnic, but I have some persons who graduated. And one of them graduated as a chemical engineer. And I was wondering, what's chemical engineer? What do you know about chemicals? How many chemicals have you seen? How many did you mix? What did you do? What were your solutions created as an engineer? Because engineering is more of a field of solution creation. So HND is even going down from the expectations. The university system is even a far cry, because there are almost no practicals. Everything happens on the board. I remember one time in one university, I don't want to call these names. You got to the lecture room, and the lecturer drew an image on the board and told the students, imagine it with your engineering mind, that this thing is moving. How do you imagine it with your engineering mind? Meanwhile, I saw a video on the internet some days ago about some young children in a chemistry lab mixing chemicals, and they saw the real-time effect of the chemical they were mixing and how it flared and all, and they jumped and they were all excited. Then content creators will not kill us. They now put versus Nigeria. They now put a man who was standing in front of a board. He drew the chemical, and with his engineering mind, perhaps. So our students are made to work with their engineering minds. So at the end of the day, I would say it is a no-no. It is a no-no. Mobilize them for NYSC. They need to go for NYSC. Right, practically, in fact, if you ask me questions about NYSC, you will not like my response. I totally do not like the NYSC scheme.
We'll talk a bit about that. Definitely, I would not want us to finish up the story without talking about NYSC. Right. But then, Ambassador, let's get your thoughts on the whole HND NYSC mobilization scheme.
Well, I have known Professor Oloyede for maybe like 12, 13 years back, or 15, when he was the secretary to Supreme Council for Islamic Affairs. And I know him as, he was also one time the Executive Secretary for NIREC, that is Nigeria Interreligious Council. So in fact, he was the pioneer secretary. So he's a man that is very informed on issues. So when he was made to be in charge of JAMB, I believe he was going to do well. Now, the response he gave to the Polytechnic managers, I think to a reasonable extent may be correct. The reason why I feel so is the mode of admission to the polytechnics. Sometimes you don't require JAMB most times to go into the polytechnics. So I want to agree with him that there is intentional policy that hinders the relationship between JAMB and the polytechnic at the beginning, unknown to those policy makers, you know. And I feel that, like he referred them back, you know, there is need to review those policies so that if going into the polytechnics requires JAMB, that's where they will have business. But right now, for you to enter into any of the polytechnics in Nigeria, you don't need any form of a JAMB results or examination. So I think that's where I feel is relatively correct. And I equally want to encourage the Nigerians education managers. If the intention of the NYSC is for cross-cultural fertilization, to enable us understand the diversity of our nations. I don't think any citizen of Nigeria who has gone into the four walls of the institutes, be it the university, the regular universities, or the polytechnics, should be denied because they are Nigerian students. So I think those policies should be reviewed and see how the polytechnic students should be accommodated for the purpose of national interest. And my plea too to the polytechnic students and the managers is the intent of the polytechnics seems to be defeated. The intent of forming the polytechnics is for us to have vocational graduates, people who have the technical know-how to solve our technical problems and issues. But it's unfortunate that they are also reverting back to the university ways of doing things theoretical. And you wonder why those kind of desires now. If you really do not want to be part of the polytechnics, you shouldn't have even gone there for the first instance. And it also brings me to the point of encouraging our young people not to be all-commerce driven. We should not be certificate driven. If you have the prerequisite knowledge of what you are trained for, I can tell you, even those who went to NYSC, even if they go 10 times, they will depend on you and rely on you. So going to NYSC is not a certificate for a good life. Going to NYSC is not a criteria for money making. I have advocated recently again that money, the subject money, should be taught in our university system, should be taught in our polytechnic. In fact, it should be part of one of the major subjects.
For every course?
Yes, how to generate money, how to invest, and how to use money. I
think different courses will definitely talk about the money part of every profession.
Why it should be an intentional subject is because we need money for everything. We use money for everything. We need to know how to invest, because this is part of why we are having frustration after graduation.
All right.
Because we do not know how we can turn our vocations into what do you call it, money making. So if anybody is telling us that You should not talk about money when you are in the university. I think that person is a blunted liar. So right now, I'm encouraging that the subject called, I don't know how they will put it, those of you who are education.
And that's what I'm saying. If each profession, don't you think that they talk about the financial aspect?
No. We're talking about financial education.
Yeah, let me jump in on that.
All right, quickly.
You know, when we were talking earlier about, when we began the whole education story, I talked about an advocacy for a system that is more robust, where every stage of a child's educational journey has a focus. The Jewish man already begins to teach his child financial intelligence from
childhood,
infancy. From that childhood, he begins to teach him that you don't eat all you get. You save some of it. You save some of it. Now, from the primary school system, I am of the opinion that we can focus our curriculum on communication skills, a bit of financial intelligence, and the general maths and English.
Don't you think English has communication skills in it?
That's part of it. So the general maths and English that we do, then a bit of more communication skills, then civic education for patriotism. So that they can start growing as patriotic citizens from that infant stage. Communication skills, teach them their local languages. Let them know how to speak the local language from the early stage. Then they grow with that. Teach them foreign languages. That's the age they imbibe everything you bring. Teach them foreign languages so that they can compete and interact with global citizens across the globe, wherever they find themselves. Then you grow to the secondary stage. Let it be a full-blown financial intelligence stage. At least intermediate, where they begin to learn about investing from that age. Then you add the other regular career subjects that we have. Then you move into the university. It should be the place where they are taught all of these things. Because, like he said, when you finish school as a graduate, when you graduate from the university, the next thing you're expected to do is to solve problems and get money. Economic gains. So I usually tell people, you don't pray for money, you work, you create value, and money comes. When you send somebody to the university, you are imputing something into them. They should know how to turn that thing into solving problems and making economic gains for themselves. So NYSC, if you ask me, NYSC, if that is defeated in the university era, NYSC should be more of a scheme that makes our young people service-oriented and entrepreneurial.
What happened to the side scheme in the camp?
It will amaze you. It will amaze you. Teaching people how to do Said and all of those things does not originally convert them into making money. Yes.
So you talked about entrepreneurship.
Yes.
That's teaching them various skills that they can build on.
I mentioned those vocational and entrepreneurial skills earlier. Now, when you come to this university's NYSC stage, you need to teach them real time how to convert your skill to money. Like he said, real time. How do I convert what I have learned to money? How do I make financial gains out of it? We have a kind of misplaced priorities and all of that. See, our young people are not ready to start sitting down at that age when they finish university. You know, somebody has finished university, they come and learn tailoring.
Or you're talking about the theoretical classes of Said where people are sleeping. And then you're wondering, what knowledge are they passing to these people? Because they're sleeping, making videos and talking about how boring the Said classes
See, let me tell you something. Our educational system fails to realize that there is a certain age where things can be imbibed. If you're teaching me some vocational skills at my earlier age, I would imbibe better than you teaching me now. That is fact.
All right.
At that early age, I'm still very curious. We have an educational system that is just turning out chunks and chunks of graduates without any place to fix them. So while I'm already at the university, I'm already thinking of how to make money. One time I was in your studio, I talked about the get rich quick syndrome. When the person is already seeing family problems, economic hardship, those who graduated before me have not even gotten a job, then his mind and focus has shifted. Whatever you are teaching him that cannot bring quick economic gain is useless to him. But if you see that we have done a good educational review and brought in these things timely there is a time when something comes, it hits. If you have brought it in at that time, these people will pick these things. So as they are progressing to the next phase of life. Somebody has a course in a university called project management. Somebody will still do the same course on Coursera before 1 year, and you are done. The person who finished on Coursera will get a job.
Online platforms now, it could be anyone.
Exactly. The person who finished on the online platform would get a job before the person who did 4 years university. You can imagine that.
You know, I don't think a lot of people would disagree with you when you talk about teaching these children how to make money from when they're in secondary school. Because we've noticed that a lot of children in secondary school want to make money. And that's why some of them don't want to go to the university anymore. They just want to make money. And when you talk about the societal vices, that is when, even though they go to school in the morning, they still have a lot of time in their hands, and then they start learning and picking up a lot of bad things from the society, all because they want to make money. Let's look at, we were talking about Yahoo. Let's look at some of the people that are getting involved in this. We're looking at children sometimes.
That's why we are advocating for financial
intelligence
education.
Yeah, financial education.
Financial education. When you teach people what they are interested about, they will have keen interest about it. Every child knows the importance of money.
So some of them are already carrying family pressures
that's what we are saying.
So, SS1.
Yeah, so knowing the importance of money, and you are coming to teach him about atom.
No, but he should know this.
He should know atom.
No. What we are saying is that see this area that you want to make money. See how you can. You are getting it. But there's also something called atom. Is it not?
So atom can come later.
No. You see, in teaching, they say you have to bring in something of interest first. Is it not?
No, you start from the known to the unknown.
Exactly. So where the interest lies
is money.
Is everybody, not like it decided the Jewish form of education, you know. And today, most of us are still being deceived by our fathers' advices. Why? Because in their time, the advice was go to school and get a job, right? And then your future is secured. But right now, when I talk, some people say, why are you sounding like that? I said, if your father asks you to go to school, or mother to go to school, that when you graduate, you get a job. When you graduate, you go and ask your father, where is the job? Because it's your father who told you that when you go to school.
But he didn't advise you wrongly. That was what he knew at that time.
That's what he knows at that time.
Yes.
Now, but what we are saying right now is that for our father's advice to be useful, the content of training in our university system should be solution driven.
Solution driven.
So their content should be reviewed. It should not be the same type that my father had to go through. And then secondly, we are in an era that we are now advocating to say, okay, get trained and create job for yourself and for people. So you need to get trained so that you can create opportunities for yourself. Because the jobs are few. Right. Once you go to school and get trained so that you can create jobs, in other words, you are coming out to become a solution to people's problem. You are coming out to become a service rendering person. Then at that point, you will not graduate and be waiting for one government job and be frustrated. Oh, government have no job.
I've been a graduate for 15 years.
As if government asked you to go to school.
I haven't found any job.
Government did not ask you to go to school. You wanted to follow the line and advice. No. My point I'm trying to advocate is that let us take responsibilities on our future. by taking decisions on what will happen to our lives. So do not say because my father went to school.
All right, Ambassador.
Let me
quickly,
add,
30 seconds.
Quickly, 30 seconds. Let me add to what Ambassador has said. You know, I want to practically say there should be order. While we are making our advocacies, there should be order. Atom will not come after money. Money will come after atom, because there is a stage for you to imbibe everything. Like what we said earlier, we said when you are growing a child, teach them how to start saving. The basics. The basics will be savings. Teach them from the primary school the importance of savings. It's important. When they grow to the secondary and university level, from secondary, begin to invest the basics of investment. And of course, in the university system, make it a full-blown investment. They should have some sort of investment training and entrepreneurial training.
Financial education.
Yes, financial education can now be cumulated into this.
Right.
I know I have a friend that does one of this. She has a book on money matters for children. Money matters for children. I think she's one of the persons that we should also engage to discuss things like this, to say what kind of information there, because for every level, you know, maths is maths from primary school to university, but at every level in the child's training period, there is a level of maths they are being introduced to. You agree with me? So financial education is financial education. Right. But at every level, there's a level of financial education they should be exposed to.
Right.